Awesome. The movie's so great, so I'm really happy to be talking with both of you. And I wanted to get started with Rainn. This role feels like one of the most emotionally taxing roles you've t tackled in your career. So, what was it like getting into that sort of headspace of Randy and being able to hit those highs while also being able to bring some levity when you need to?
Well, one of the things I love about Randy is he's so representative of EMS workers because their highs are high, their lows are low, and you need a really dark, raunchy sense of humor to get you through it. And those folks work in ambulances, frontline workers, they have a really macabre sense of humor. So um, it was just great getting to know people working in that space and in that field, and letting their reality shine through Randy. And I've heard from so many EMS workers that they feel like finally they've got a film that represents who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It just felt so authentic. And then Amy, conversely, your character is a little more she's new on the scene. She's a little more resilient. So what kind of qualities did you want to bring to your character and sort of while learning from Randy at the same time, but also be your own person?
Well, I think with her, she is a freshly, well, I don't want to give too much away, right? There's like a big spoiler, but she is straight out of school. I can say that, and I think there is like a bookish quality to her. It's like, I know what I've read in a book, and now all of a sudden we're in this real life scenario where it's not so contained, right? It's a little MacGyvered, right? That's one of the things I noticed when we did our ride along with the South Central Fire Department, that so much of it is like, well, what do we have on hand? Like, what can we use to get this person safely to the hospital? It's kind of a punk job, it requires a lot of improvisation of these healthcare workers. And so I think my character is coming in with a lot of, well, this is what I learned in school, and this is how it works in a lab, and this is how it works in a controlled environment. And I think she's learning how to be flexible and how to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of you mentioned talking to ESMS workers, going on a ride along. So for this question is for both of you, but what kind of preparation did you go before the film, and what sort of surprised you about the world of paramedics that you, as like a civilian, you would not normally think of that you were happy to depict on the film? Um, Rain or
Well, it's similar to the show The Pit, which I'm a huge fan of and got to watch that after we had shot Code 3. But the mental health crisis among these workers is really through the roof. It's not just burnout, it's, they're taxed on every level. I mean, they're shot at, they're thrown up on, they're disrespected, they're underpaid, and they're the real heroes. They're out there saving lives. These people that we call on to save our grandmothers and our aunties and our neighbors, they they're making the same amount as someone who works at Starbucks, and they're doing it because they love it and they want to make a difference and they want to save lives. And so just getting to know that world was really an honor and a privilege.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey,
we also got a little bit of after the ride along, or maybe it was before, but we had like a little session with Patrick, whose experiences as a paramedic this movie kind of talks about and is inspired by. And he gave us a rundown, a quick session on CPR and like how to make things look real. Obviously, we are not medical professionals, and so we need to sell it, right? So there's a little bit of choreography involved. And that was really interesting to me, just getting to know that part of it. And like Rain said, obviously the most shocking thing is how much they're paid and how little, how few resources there are for them when they need help. And I can imagine, we spent one day with these workers in South Central, and that's a day I will never forget. And that's a day that they live over and over and over again. You're seeing people at their worst, at their most vulnerable, and you're coming into their homes, which is so intimate. And I can't imagine going home at the end of every single night and decompressing that, and that accumulates over time. So it's like Rainn said, they're taxed at a level that is unimaginable to most people.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rain, you have a lot of you've had a lot of great sparring matches, but you get to really have a really nice sparring partner with Rob Riggle in this film. What was that like? Just that back and forth that you had to develop, and that sort of that intensity that you have to build toward.
Well, it wasn't the first time I sparred with Rob Riggle because he was on the set of The Office in season two, Booze Cruise, playing I
Mm.
think Captain Ron was his name. Man, I forget which captain he was, but he's such a great comic actor. He really made me laugh and cracked me up on the set so much. He just improvised completely inappropriately most of the time, but he turned in such a beautiful performance. And the thing I just want to remind you and all folks is that this is just a fun, entertaining movie. It's funny. If you want to just have a popcorn movie that makes you laugh and has a crazy roller coaster ride on it, this is that movie, and it will satisfy on that level. So all the dark stuff we're talking about, that's kind of like the underbelly of what we're dealing with. But yeah, like Rob Riggle, for example, he gets to be just the ultimate arrogant asshole doctor that you hate for the whole movie. But then I run into him in the break room at the end of the movie and has a beautiful scene where he kind of reveals the pressures that he's under. And it's the system is so pressurized and so broken that you just have to find a way to laugh through it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I love about your movie. It's just it feels so because my dad's a doctor, so as I'm very familiar with that world. And then Amy, when you're developing, because you're coming into this world with you're working opposite Rain, you're working opposite Lil Rel. What was this sort of building that chemistry the three of you shared throughout the film? Because it's just so much fun. Just, I mean, you're going through a lot of intense stuff in the movie, but it's very fun just being in the ambulance with the three of you.
It's so fun. And I have to say, I did very little as far as that goes because I think Rain and Rel can probably have chemistry with a piece of paper. They are very welcoming and they, put me into the fold right away. And I think that's the mark of like a good actors or good working environment in general, where, like, hey, we have this job to do. Like, let's get to know each other as people a little bit. And I certainly found that to be true. And there's an openness to both of them that's very refreshing, especially as an actor coming in. And, they're also very accomplished, right? So there's that too. And you don't want to shit the bed. You want to do a good job. And it's so helpful when you show up and they're just ready to play around and be creative with you. And they don't bring any like ego to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I don't want to keep you guys too long, but um, what would you just say? Did you have that many opportunities to sort of improvise on set, or when you're doing some of the more lighter moments, or was it more um, something that you had to just stick to the page?
So, um, yeah, there was a ton of improvisation, and of course, with Rel Howery, he's going to improvise, and that's what I do. And you want to keep it real. You want to find laughs. You want to make sure the lines don't sound canned and memorized. And improvisation helps you do that. You know, because you just don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to come out of your mouth next. So it was fun seeing some of that stuff end up staying on the screen. Um, and I love that. I love to have the freedom to go wild as an actor.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And the movie's so great, so I can't wait for people to see it. And I'm such a huge fan, so this has been really great.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rohan.
But
comic book movies.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye.
There we go. All right, peace.
But